A common joke amongst me and my friends is that most of the world actually isn't real, but instead is comprised of NPCs. Now, what an NPC is just a non-playable character in a video game, or those characters you play in the video games that have a set amount of dialogue. And the reason we say this is because there's over 8 billion people in the entire globe, and it's hard for us to grasp that all 8 billion people have their own accomplishments, their own experiences, their own lives, their own stories, their own personalities, and most importantly, their own worldviews. Now, we experience these different worldviews every single day. A parent's worldview is one that is dangerous, and so they may not let their kids go outside because of all the news and television they watch. An old person's worldview is one where it's much more negative due to their old age. A person's of race worldview must be very different because of their culture and their differences between society. On all, worldview is very different amongst all people, but at the same time, understanding and connecting each other through worldview is extremely important. The importance of understanding and putting yourself in another person's shoes, comprehending their worldview, it allows you to understand them better as a person and analyze what they're saying. Well, my name is Aiden Fisher, and today my goal is to hopefully discuss the purpose and importance of worldview, of understanding why it's so important to discover new perspectives so as we may humanize with one another, better understand the arguments made by that person, and even assist with understanding ourselves. So, the number one important thing about worldview is how it helps us discover perspectives may have never discovered before, how it helps us understand where someone else is coming from. In our in class textbook, Researching People Collaborative Listening, it describes worldview as researching people with the means of stepping into the worldviews of others. When we talk with people in the field of study of their lives, their stories, artifacts, or surroundings, we enter their perspective by partly stepping out of our own. Per this definition of worldview, by putting ourselves in the perspective of others, we can better understand where they're coming from. A great example of this can be found in an article by the New York Times, which it describes in the very title opening saying, Why I Do Not Trust Doctors. Now, this article is from a man named Richard Dixon, and it describes his poor experience, why he lead to distrust with doctors. He states how doctors have mistreated him and gave him the wrong medication, and which has led to a whole slew of negative side effects and even ruined his relationship with his family. Along with this, the doctors actually gave him false surgery that led him to be permanently disabled. Now, mine, along with a lot of other people's probably original opinion on reading the big bold text in the article that says, I do not trust doctors, is a bit odd. You probably immediately think this person doesn't know what he's talking about, this person's not true, and what he's saying is a bit ridiculous. Originally, upon reading the article, we have this initial wall that simply rebounds everything this person's saying as to simple ignorance or not true. However, once I researched his worldview, once I understood why he thought what he thinks, I was able to understand him better. His arguments became more sense, and that wall that originally was there, just ignorant of just bouncing back on his arguments, actually made sense to me. By comprehending his own worldview, I could understand what he was saying. And not only this, but it also influenced my own opinion. Upon reading this article by Richard Dixon, I had a new understanding of doctors, that they could make mistakes and that their mistakes could in fact be seen as detrimental. Now, that's not to say that I don't trust doctors anymore, but it is to say that it has influenced my opinion as to be more cautious, to maybe slightly different. And that, to me, the fact that worldview can influence your own opinion and allow you to understand them is makes it vitally important. Now, while worldview does allow us to understand one another, put them in perspective, it also allows us to analyze text or arguments made by another person. In class, I always struggled trying to better analyze text or arguments made by an author. I would read the article one time, and then I'd have to read it a second time in order to understand the argument better, but I still always struggle. But it was upon reading up the author's worldview, their perspective and experiences, that I could better understand the arguments. A great example can be found in both Projects 2 and 3. Me, I chose an article about why marijuana shouldn't be legalized. And at first, I read the author's arguments and I understood some of it, but I struggled to dig deeper and understand more about how the arguments interrelate with one another. Who is his audience? Why does he think the way he thinks? These are all questions I just struggled to answer upon my first time read. But upon completing research about the author, I understood from his doctoral experiences and from his own worldview of a medical side versus a more social side, why he is why he staunches against the harmful effects of marijuana. I could better analyze and understand why he thinks what he thinks, who his audience was, what his arguments were, even the references mixed to his arguments. It all became more clear thanks to worldview, so I think it's important. Now, worldview, along with this, when completing these projects, it was just difficult for me to input my own opinion. All these topics were very passionate for me personally, and so I struggled not to say what I wanted to say, and I always had this barrier of this person doesn't know what he's talking about. However, when you read the person's worldview, it helps you humanize with that person. It removes that level of them just being an online icon and makes them more personal. And this to me helps you not, or helps me at least in these projects, not input my own opinion and help me see that these people are making logistical arguments. And that to me is another reason why the worldview is so important. Now, my last point is that worldview is, while it is extremely important and helping others or helping us understand others to say, is also extremely important in understanding ourselves. A lot of times, especially for me personally, I struggled to write narrative about myself. How to sound not too braggy while also not trying to sound too demeaning was extremely difficult. And trying to find, even determine what values I held closest to me was hard. However, I believe worldview was extremely important in helping me through this. Worldview allows you to look back at your most influential points and connect them together. And through this connection, you're able to find common themes and values within them that allow you to determine who you are. And it is through this evaluation of your own worldview that allows you to better understand yourself. And I believe this is extremely important and has very applicable skills for the actual future and in your life. If you understand your own worldview, you will better understand, you'll be better prepared for applications that ask you to be about yourself. That includes college applications, which includes job applications or interviews. All of these ask you questions about yourself, and by comprehending your own worldview, you are better able to understand yourself. Thus, so in sum, I believe that the importance of worldview is so that we can understand each other by putting each other in each perspectives, so that we can analyze each other's arguments, so that we may better humanize with one another and understand where the other person is coming from, and so that we may understand ourselves much better, so that we can be better for interviews and other things that ask for who or what we are. Thank you.